Are you a fan of young adult novels?
Have you ever wondered the stories behind the people who wrote your favorite young adult novels?
Then join author Eric J. Brown
And Alyssa Lube of Netflix's The Circle.
every other Tuesday on YAOK.
Available on all podcasting apps.
Woo!
In the darkest corners of the internet, a nameless, formless entity has been growing. No one dares question where it was created or what it wants, but those who have been entranced by its musings chant its blood-curdling name in unison. Horror Movie Night!
Find Horror Movie Night on your favorite podcasting app or at hmnpodcast.com.
There's a party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and let the parties go spread the holiday cheer. 'Cause it's Christmas. Oh, it's the best time of the year. Let's go fake reindeer.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt!
So, this was my week to make a pick, and you and I do a fairly similar thing sometimes, where like just as we finish binging a show, we're like, let's talk about the show that I just watched through one of their Christmas episodes. So this is one of Barb's favorite shows. We've been trading, making each other watch favorite shows. So we watched.
I think it's
all
also that time
seven
of year. Like we've hit that point in the time of year where it's like you'll be like, hey, let's what's your pick? And it'll be hard to pick something because you don't want to pick something. I'll tell you, to reveal something behind the scenes. Next week's pick was not my original pick. Or whatever that comes up. But you were like, I think that might be better for Halloween. And that's the struggle that we find ourselves in, is like, dude, I really want to talk about this thing. It'd probably be better to talk about this later.
Yeah.
So we just kind of, we figure out like what's relevant and also like what we're doing around the time. And this is one of Barb's favorite shows. And I feel like this show has come up, discussed on here multiple times whenever we're talking sitcoms. So
yeah, well, it's got a lot in common with happy endings, I think.
Yep.
But yeah, this is one of Barb's favorite shows. Let me tell you about the show I made Barb watch after this, because it ties to an insane dream that I had. So after this, I had Barb watch Ted Lasso because she had never seen it.
Okay.
And we finished it last night. We watched the last episode of Ted Lasso.
Easily top 10 Christmas episodes.
Oh my God.
Almost of all time.
It's I mean, that is like top 3 episodes of that entire show. That Christmas episode's so good. But last night I had a dream that for whatever reason, you, myself, and Barb were at an AFC Richmond game slash NASCAR. It was very strange. So it was after the soccer game, some NASCAR races happened around the soccer field. But that's not the weird part of the dream.
That's some untapped potential. I think you could bring together. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like right-wing people don't like soccer. So I was sitting here like, you could really bring together the two spirits, like soccer and NASCAR. It brings people together.
It does. So also weird in the dream was that attending this Richmond game / NASCAR race and sitting right by us was Taylor Swift and Jason Kelce, which you'll note is not the Kelce brothers she's dating.
Nope.
And we were like having a conversation, like we're talking with them, and you went to say something to Jason Kelce, and you were wearing a Miami Dolphins shirt, and he just looked at you and said, "First off, sir, don't fucking talk to me while you have that shirt on." And then he stormed off, and like Taylor Swift was all upset. And I won't get into all the details, but it was basically like Taylor Swift was really sad. She wanted to leave, but there was paparazzi everywhere. And we like tried to help her escape the paparazzi. And at the end of the dream, she comes up to me and gives me a big hug and thanks me for helping her get away from the paparazzi and gifts me a prop from the movie Scrooged, but I don't see what it is. She just hands it to me subtly in my hand, and in the dream I said, "You should listen to Dylan and I's podcast, Christmas 365."
Oh my god, dude! Up. What if we just inexplicably blow up? And like Taylor Swift comes on TikTok and is like, "So I had this dream last night that I was with Jason Kelce." You'll notice I said Jason Kelce, not the one that I'm dating, Travis Kelce. So we saw these 3 people, and one of them was in a Miami Dolphins jersey. Number 1, I would never wear a Miami Dolphins jersey. Oh god. Number 2, I feel like if there's any NFL player that I think I would have a good relationship with, I feel like it's Jason Kelce. I feel like him and I are very similar human beings in the way that we act around people. So
no, I think so too, honestly.
That's so fucking funny. That's hilarious.
I was like,
well, you guys heard it here
that.
first. Taylor Swift approves of Christmas 365.
That's what the takeaway was.
Yeah, share it.
Anyway, so there was about weekly or goddamn. There were every season had a Christmas episode of Mindy Project. I'm pretty sure, but this was without a doubt my favorite one because I don't know, there was something that I found sort of relatable to season 2, episode 11, the Christmas party sex trap.
Yeah.
Which the concept of it is that Mindy has a crush on someone in the building and decides that if she throws this big ass party and invites everybody in the building, including the guy she has a crush on, she'll be able to use the magic of Christmas to properly seduce him into falling in love with her.
And which is funny because this relates to this is kind of the Dennis system.
Yes.
From Always Sunny.
It definitely does. I think for me this episode though does relate a little bit. I would never weaponize Christmas, but it relates to that idea of like when you like have you ever liked somebody and they were like close enough to the orbit that you're like, I'm going to throw a party because that person will probably come to this party and it will give me a chance to like show how cool I am to them, because I've definitely done that. I have 1,000% done that.
But I'm also not a party thrower.
Yeah,
I'm a party goer, but I am not a party thrower.
Oh no,
like,
I am. You know me. I am party. Which is so weird for like how straight as an arrow, straight edge I am. That I love hosting a party.
And I'm always like, I feel so bad because I'm like, hey, so Matt's having this thing this week, but next weekend he's doing this thing.
Yeah. So the episode opens with Mindy trying to get a Christmas tree for the office. She buys the tree, has to carry it from the tree lot all the way up the stairs to the office, and then shows up and there's already a Christmas tree. And I had to laugh at, she walks in, she goes, what the hell is that? And one of the employees goes, how Hindu are you? It's a Christmas tree.
Yeah. Which goes back to like our argument. Well, number 1, she wanted to spend $250 on the real tree, the good real tree. And then she buys the rinky-dink Charlie Brown tree, and then tosses a perfecully good artificial tree outside.
Outrageous.
I hate it. I hate this fucking argument.
So I forgot that there's like a lot of story arcs that are happening in this particular episode out of context. So Dr. Reed, who you meet, is the British doctor.
Yeah.
In the first season, Mindy and him hook up regularly. And then in the second season, for the first like 10 episodes, he's overweight. But
I was going to say, because I feel like that was a big part of this episode.
Yeah, they walk in and they go, Dr. Reed's thin and handsome again.
Was he like...
not like
so
fat
funny.
suit. It was literally just like...
Was it as bad as Mac in Always Sunny?
No, like I barely noticed when I was watching. I'm like, yeah, I guess his face is like a little bit fatter. But like... I
tried
anything
Googling
crazy.
it and I couldn't find anything where I noticed
Yeah,
how much bigger he was.
It was almost part of the joke, was that he was like, because that's like the joke with one of my favorite reoccurring bits in the Mindy Project is that for whatever reason she constantly bumps into Kevin Smith throughout the entire show.
Oh, that's right. I remember you telling me this.
And every single time Kevin Smith, like the first time she sees him, they're getting onto an airplane and he sits down next to her and he goes, "Oh, thank God. I was worried they were going to put me next to a skinny person because, you know, like us fat people on planes got to stick together."
I remember this. You telling me this. That's fucking
And she's
hilarious.
always just like, she's like, "I am not fat. I am curvy." Like, and that's like her. So I think they do a lot of jokes about how the world perceives overweightness.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of it with Dr. Reed, was that he was just an average looking guy. Like he just had like dad bod level, like chunky, and people were just like, "Oh my God, Dr. Reed, you're so fat now."
That's
like
fucking hilarious. That's amazing.
And then like you texted me about this because both of these people are on the show the entire series.
I could tell. Like when I saw them, both of the characters strike me as these are not one-offs. Like these are people that live in this area and are in this show constantly. So I think first I saw Glenn Howerton, who plays
Cliff,
Dennis. Cliff, sorry, who plays Dennis in Always Sunny, but plays Cliff in this show. Yeah,
who's a divorce lawyer that has the office right next to their office and is Mindy's crush for a decent chunk of season 2. He never leaves. One of the things that is kind of funny but also frustrates me in this show is that there are so many storylines of characters getting married and divorced, and like the events of season 2 lead to Cliff hating everybody in the fertility clinic. And you would think that would be an easy way to write him off the show. But every single time any character needs to get a divorce, it cuts to them inside of his office. And he's just like, "Why do you guys keep coming to me?" like he's just like, even though he can't stand any of them, he can't escape any of them because they all just keep getting married and divorced over and over again.
So there's something that happens later in this season that he just ends up hating them all? Or?
Well, I mean, I'll give you a quick spoiler. I'm not sure if you've picked up on it, but it's pretty clear that Mindy and Danny are endgame.
Yeah, and I think that's also what bothered me at the end is like I've reached a point in my life where I don't identify with that Danny character anymore. Like I might have at some point, but I don't. And I'm like, okay, you had your chance to kiss her. Like you gave that up. Like you could have changed the course of this entire evening. But you didn't, so we can't pan up to you and you be sad boy. Like, well,
so basically throughout season 2, while she's dating Cliff is pretty sure that she has feelings for Danny.
Yeah,
and then she eventually cheats on him with Danny. And that's why he hates everybody at the clinic, because everyone's so excited that these two are finally together. Mindy Project has some serious pacing problems throughout it. Like there are 2 full seasons where Danny is gone, where like they break up and Danny's just out of the picture, and then they got canceled and like got rebooted to do like 6 episodes where they had to very quickly like wrap up the story by Danny just showing back up and being endgame. Like the first like 2 or 3 seasons of Mindy Project I really, really liked. And then basically like midway through season 4 and beyond, I liked it less. And I remember there was like a point when I was watching it with Barb where an episode aired and I was like, we watched an episode and I said, that feels like that's a series finale to me. And she's like, "Yep, certainly wish it was." And then, like the last like 3 episodes are really good, but you have to go through seasons 5 and 6 to get there. And they are not short seasons. They're like 22 episode seasons. So my this is not a hard recommend for Mindy Project at all.
It's wild to me that this ran for 6 seasons.
It's bonkers.
I watching that episode last night, and this is not me saying it was bad. It's not me saying I didn't like it.
It's not a bad episode.
It's not a bad show, but like I watched it and I'm like, this got canceled after 3 seasons. Like, there's no way this ran.
So it did. So it's
Okay.
like it got canceled on season 3, and then Hulu bought it and ran it for seasons 4, 5, and 6.
This seems like an idea that you're like, hey, well, we like Mindy Kaling on The Office and shit. Like, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to build a show all around her. It's going to be set to run for a full season, but gets canceled halfway through.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I picture this show going.
Well,
and to see that there were 6 seasons of it, 117 episodes, and I'm looking at the cast of reoccurring characters, and I'm like, what the fuck? Bill Hader was in this?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Bill Hader was her first boyfriend that broke up with her but keeps showing up in her life
I'm
over
like,
and over again.
Chloe Sevigny,
Yeah.
Anders is on it, Rob McElhenney. Like, what the fuck is this show?
Yeah. It's insane, right?
I feel like Mindy's like just calling her friends. She's like, hey,
Well, so like here's the other thing about it all is like I was recently a guest on a podcast called In Defense of Fandom.
Okay.
And it's a documentary style podcast. So like I sat down for a 2-hour interview and she's been pulling clips and using the audio of my interview to like discuss certain topics. And the whole point of this season of her show is there such a thing as a good TV show ending that everyone agrees is good?
Okay.
And I was on there as a sitcoms expert discussing like why sitcoms have a higher success rate than not with having a good finale that people like. But I discussed the How I Met Your Mother of it all.
Okay.
And like the problem with How I Met Your Mother. And I think it's kind of the problem with Mindy Project to a certain point is like you get your show to what is a satisfying conclusion and then you get renewed for 3 more seasons and then you're like, fuck, like we've got to somehow stretch this out and still land the ending that we already feel like we've built perfectly to. Like it happens in comics all the time too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's like the biggest issue I think I have with something like The Walking Dead is like if The Walking Dead was 100 issue comic, it probably would go down as like one of the greatest comic books of all time, but it's like almost twice that length and you get into this part where they're just like recycling storylines.
Yeah.
And you're like, how many times can I watch this group of people find a pseudo utopia, get immersed in pseudo utopia, find out that there's one thing that makes this place more of a dystopia, and then kill everybody and move on to the next one? Like it was just like that was every story arc for like 5 years in Walking Dead, and I was just like, I don't want to read this anymore.
But you also have like the flip side of it when you have a show like, let's say, Community, where halfway through it they're fighting for their lives to keep airing, right?
Yeah.
They're setting that campaign for 6 seasons and a movie, but to be completely honest, it seems like they never had an end game for that.
No,
Like-
and that's
like-
and that's like the
like-
problem is like
You're fighting for 6 seasons, but what are you doing with the 6 seasons? Like, is
Yeah.
there a goal here? Is there a place we want to go with it? I mean, I'm sure we'll see once the movie hits. But...
Are you a fan of young adult novels?
Have you ever wondered the stories behind the people who wrote your favorite young adult novels?
Then join author Eric J. Brown
And Alyssa Lube of Netflix's The Circle.
every other Tuesday on YAOK.
Available on all podcasting apps.
Woo!
In the darkest corners of the internet, a nameless, formless entity has been growing. No one dares question where it was created or what it wants, but those who have been entranced by its musings chant its blood-curdling name in unison. Horror Movie Night!
Find Horror Movie Night on your favorite podcasting app or at hmnpodcast.com.
91 Donkey Lane is a magical apartment complex that contains immense power but lacks intelligent inhabitants.
What is happening?
I'm getting texts.
Why are we getting a lot of texts?
People found out what we did.
Oh, dividing Mike Myers into an infinite amount of tiny Mike Myers?
Listen to 91 Donkey Lane for free on Spotify or your favorite podcasting app. More at 91donkeylane.com. See you there, you donkeys.
Anyway, I want to talk about a couple good jokes that come up in this episode.
Oh, and your boy from Happy Endings.
Happy Endings, my favorite character in the show, Peter. So Peter, so one of the pop points of this episode is Mindy's throwing the party. Dr. Reed is, trying to not eat as much because he's gotten thin, and Peter is trying to not drink as much. And he explains his alcoholism to the party, and this is a reference to something he said in an earlier episode, but he goes, "Now, as you all may remember, last year at my old office Christmas party, I drank too much and made sex with a Christmas tree."
I love their little sobriety pack.
Oh God,
that they have.
Dr. Reed has the spray bottle of food flavors, and he just sprays
I'm
it.
Full now. that fucking killed me because I feel like we've all been there. Where we're like, this bottle of water filled me. I don't need any of that.
We have to talk about your guy from the league.
Yeah, Mark Duplass, man. That was his brother's in this too. Mark and Jay Duplass are both in this.
They play in the show. They play brothers who are midwives and run a holistic birthing place upstairs above the OBGYN.
Yeah. So how did Mark Duplass end up with Maria Menounos?
No clue.
Okay.
She showed up like 4 or 5 episodes earlier when they made a commercial, and she was like in the commercial, and I guess the implication is that they hit it off after filming the commercial or whatever.
Okay.
But I love that like his character is just depicted as like the most self-righteous, like hard left-leaning person, and the little bits of dialogue that they throw in there are so funny. Like when they're looking at the nativity and he just goes, there are studies that show that Jesus may have actually been a black woman.
I love that. That's basically the downfall of his and Maria Menounos' relationship.
Because she sings Santa Baby and he goes, as a feminist, it offended me to my core. Have a very aware Kwanzaa.
Dude, have a very aware Kwanzaa had me dying. That was the one that got me. That was the big pop in the household last night. Have a very aware Kwanzaa.
The line that kills me, and it's part of what I love about the character of Danny, is that he is like, he's that character that we know from all these shows, right? He's the grump who's like very set in his ways. And when she's telling the plan to him, and one of it is like, I'm going to sing a sexy version of Santa Baby. And he goes, Santa Baby, it's disgusting. It sexualizes Santa.
That's the reason I hate that song too.
Yeah.
And like as it's being performed, whether it be by Mindy in her imagination or by Menounos, don't like the song. Overall, don't like the song.
Yeah,
it makes me feel gross. It makes me feel real gross.
What if it's Michael Bublé singing Santa Buddy?
Also makes me feel gross because I feel like he didn't change enough of how that song goes.
He just changed Baby to Buddy.
He just turned Baby to Buddy. You are still hitting on Santa, Mr. Bublé. I'm not some like fucking creep. I'm not like, the problem with this song is that a woman was singing it. If you got somebody like Michael Bublé singing it, it'd be much better. No, it's the same fucking creepiness of the song. You literally just changed Baby to Buddy. I support a lot of Michael Bublé's Christmas decisions, but Santa Buddy was one I could not get behind. That's not the one. That's definitely not the one. We should. Man, I can't believe we haven't done Mike Bublé's Christmas album. That seems like a real missed opportunity so far. I think because
they just sound like the original versions.
Well, yeah, number one, it would literally just be like, hey, well, this is this song, and I like this song, so I like this version of it. But also, like, to me, that's a heavy hitter. That would be a Christmas heavy hitter, because a lot of people do just love like thawing out Michael Bublé, much like we thaw out Mariah Carey. But I don't think you and I hold that as close to our chest as everyone else.
I think I have the person to do Michael Bublé with us.
Okay. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of boring, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I think that's part of the bit, is that Michael Bublé does not change anything with those covers.
And we'll cover it eventually. But like
it's
I said,
not,
I
it's
feel
not
like it's
pressing.
a heavy hitter to other people,
Yeah.
but it's not to us. So like when we get close to the season, we want to talk about shit that's a heavy hitter for everyone, but we also really like. It's not that I don't like that album.
It's
but
also weird because there's nothing that we could really tie to promote it. It's not like it's like, oh, Michael Bublé's got a new album coming out. We got to get that Christmas episode out.
Yeah, I don't
to hit the SEO. Anyway, the only other thing the thing that listeners and Barb will be so upset if we don't bring up is Danny's gift to Mindy, which is of course a choreographed dance to the song that she used to listen to all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of fans of this show, this is their favorite thing.
But to make up for the fact that he was giving her shit gifts the entire
medical
time.
gauze. What was the? I forget what the one thing is. He tries to hand her, and she goes, "I refuse this gift."
Yeah. Like I don't know, man. I'm sure. I think I would have gotten more of a kick out of that if I had more of a relationship with these characters.
A little bit. So they're that classic, one of my favorite sitcom tropes, the I hate you, I love you couple, where for like the first season, they absolutely can't stand each other. And then they slowly start to warm up to each other. And then they fucking.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Yeah, you know how it be.
That's how it be, bro.
Well, anyway, Dylan.
Hold on, because I will say, I want to give this show some credit.
Okay.
Because we haven't talked about kind of the Christmas of it all. I think I did look at Teddy as we were watching this and say, I'm really excited for Christmas time.
Yeah.
There is just something about a show set in New York City around Christmas time. Like,
ain't lying,
like,
dude.
seriously, I looked at Teddy and I'm like, God, I'm ready for Christmas.
I am too. I feel like this is like when people are like, how do you do this podcast? I think that part of us were like, well, it gets real tough in like the February to like August range, but that's not true. It's really just rough for us from the February to April range, and then by May we're like, all right, baby, it's time.
I'm like, dude, Halloween's next month. Fucking
it literally,
Christmas
dude,
is the month after.
But if you think about it in all sincerity, right?
Yeah.
Like this episode's coming out I think this is coming out on Memorial Day, right? So honestly, it's like, what, a month and some change until 4th of July.
Yep.
And then, honestly, 4th of July...
That's Halloween, baby.
Well, I was going to say, to me, like, 4th of July also kind of already spells the end of summer is approaching, even though it's very close to the beginning of summer.
Yeah.
I feel like summer just goes into hyperdrive at that point, and, like, those 6 or 7 months or weeks just, like... zoom by, and then we're in fall, and like fall is when I'm like, all right, it's time for the Halloween stuff, it's time for the cardigans to come out, and then we're there, like we're already at the start of the run, you know what I mean? Like we're it's starting. I'm excited. I'm ready to start like stop pussyfooting around picks, you know what I mean? Like it's like I'm ready to watch like some actual Christmas shit now.
Me too. Yep.
I think that's going to be our summer.
Because we do sit there and we're like, well, what do you want to... Well, I can't pick this. I can't do this. I don't know. There's this show that aired for 3 seasons in the fucking late 90s. There's a Christmas episode. You want to watch that?
No, and I mean, there will still be a few of those peppered out, but I think I'm ready to bring in the ones that are like not quite a November and December level, but like are real fucking close.
Yeah. So we're going to cover Michael Bublé's Christmas album.
Christmas album is coming your way, motherfuckers. All right.
Man.
Well, Dylan, listen, I would try to sex trap you at any of my Christmas parties.
Oh my God. I won't sing Santa Baby, but I'll sing another seductive Christmas song. I'm sure I'll find one.
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas, probably.
My 2 front teeth as well.
Now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy Holly, have a great
Are you a fan of young adult novels?
Have you ever wondered the stories behind the people who wrote your favorite young adult novels?
Then join author Eric J. Brown
And Alyssa Lube of Netflix's The Circle.
every other Tuesday on YAOK.
Available on all podcasting apps.
Woo!
In the darkest corners of the internet, a nameless, formless entity has been growing. No one dares question where it was created or what it wants, but those who have been entranced by its musings chant its blood-curdling name in unison. Horror Movie Night!
Find Horror Movie Night on your favorite podcasting app or at hmnpodcast.com.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.